It's been more than 2 weeks since prosecutors say 87-year-old Velma Kuntz's grandson shot her inside her Fairbanks home. Right now, the 29-year-old remains held on murder charges at the Fairbanks Correctional Center on $5 million bail. Tonight, in his first interview, Velma's son tells our investigative team's Johnson Kuhn about the day he lost his mother. And that could send his own son to prison.
George Kuhn sat down with me to talk about two people he loves very much, his mother Velma and his son Brian. He says as he watched his mother struggle with dementia, he also watched his son struggle with mental illness, leading up to January 20th, the day that changed everything.
She's an amazing woman. She was born in a camp outside of my home village of Savunga.
Velma Kuntz's son, George, remembers her as a woman shaped by a different era of Alaska. A trapper's daughter who built her family on strong values.
She is always a staunch supporter of her children. She created a really structured, nurturing environment. She's a no-nonsense woman.
But sadly, for the last decade, George says he watched his mom fade from dementia. By January, she was confined to a wheelchair under hospice care, battling intestinal cancer.
It's kind of like if you use the metaphor of a candle, her candle started getting dimmer and dimmer with the passing years.
State of Alaska versus Brian Jeffrey Davenport.
At the same time, George says his son Brian had schizophrenia, a condition that without treatment can make it difficult to distinguish reality. And Brian, he says, would not stay on his medication.
He'd done it on and off, incoherent texts and stuff, basically babbling. And he started doing that a couple days before what happened. And I mean, we're talking about pages and pages of just random stuff. He was texting me, and then I finally blocked him. I kept telling him to take his meds, and then I blocked him, and then he switched over to my dad, sending him blocks and blocks of text that really didn't make any sense.
And what prosecutors say happened on January 20th is something George says he's still trying to make sense of. Charging documents say Brian called 911 that day after police found him pacing on the side of the road. They discovered Velma inside the home, shot in the back of her head. When detectives questioned Brian, he told them he wanted his grandmother to, quote, go peacefully, comparing it to, quote, pulling the plug. George believes in the middle of a mental health crisis.
Absolutely.
His son saw this as an act of mercy, saying he tried to keep guns away from Brian in the past. But charging documents go on to say the gun Brian used belonged to his grandfather and was kept in a nightstand.
My dad's bedroom was locked, so obviously my son broke in to access the gun.
Now the former village public safety officer says, in his view, the answer should be treatment, not punishment.
I think it's cheaper to treat that behavior than it is to put them away at our expense for decades.
And through all of this,
love one another.
George says that message from his mother is still guiding him. It apply to everyone. When Davenport's attorney entered a not guilty plea on Wednesday, he said his client refused to appear. Now, even though George says the gun was locked up in this case, he now wants to see lawmakers push for what are known as red flag laws. In his view, this would mean firearms become less of an option for people in a mental health crisis by letting families petition courts to remove guns. Davenport's next hearing is scheduled for February 26th. Johnson Kuhn, Alaska's news source.
A fire broke out at the Valdez Airport Man Camp last night. Valdez Emergency Services responded about 7:30 p.m. The fire was contained to the kitchen and dining hall building. No injuries were reported, and officials say crews worked through the night to contain the fire. As of 2 o'clock this afternoon, they were still on site waiting for the state fire marshal. The cause of the fire is under investigation. As winter continues in Fairbanks, officials are urging residents to avoid shoveling their snow into storm drains which flow into the Chena River. Instead, people in Fairbanks are advised to shovel the snow into the street where they can be plowed by Public Works. In other parts of the borough, homeowners are asked to guide the snow onto their lawns. Officials say snow in the area's storm drains could cause icing and blockage when the snow melts in the spring, leading to flooding. Improperly stored snow can allow pollutants to find their way into the river during breakup season.
We see that in various areas around town where Maybe the storm drain system needs to be upgraded, or maybe it's blocked by ice because it's not designed properly, or it could be blocked with debris and other trash.
There are several hundred miles of pipe under the ground within the borough of Fairbanks. There are over 100 storm drains within just the city of Fairbanks alone, and they all fall into the Chena.
The most common pollutants that can make their way into the Chena River are trash, debris, and oil residues from the roadways. Grass clippings and yard waste being dumped into the river can also pass along herbicides and pesticides. And we saw a little bit of snow out there today. Bailey, are we done?
We're not done quite yet. We did see only just a little bit this morning, and we do have another little bit expected for tonight, only about a trace up to 3 inches. This is also true extending all the way up into Palmer and Wasilla as well. But I just wanted to point out a few of the weather alerts that we have all across the state right now. Now, this is quite a few that we haven't really seen in a little bit. And so I wanted to start just with statewide looking ahead. Now, focusing our attention just a little bit more on the Aleutians, we are under a high wind warning for the Aleutians, more specifically for Adak and Atka. This is for gusts up to 70 and even 85 miles per hour, and this will expire Tuesday afternoon. Now, as we look a little bit more into the interior and western Alaska, you notice that we have a couple of warnings here as well. Now, for western Alaska, this winter storm watch highlighted in blue, this is for about 3 to 6 inches of snow accumulation from Monday night all the way through Wednesday night, and this is for the eastern Norton Sound all the way to the Yukon Delta coastline. But in where you see highlighted in pink, this is a winter storm warning. This is for higher accumulations of snow, about 5 to 10 inches for the interior Kuskokwim Delta, and that's for Tuesday through Wednesday. And you'll notice this winter weather advisory, this has expanded since yesterday. This is for 2 to 5 inches in the upper Tanana Valley, but heavier snow amounts are likely along the Tok Cutoff Highway. This is for 8 to 18 inches, and that also includes McCarthy is another area where we'll see heavier amounts of snow. Now up into the North Slope, this is extreme cold, and even this cold weather advisory, this is for wind chill as cold as -70 and -75 degrees. So just be sure to bundle up and take a look at what your high temperatures are for Monday.
Today, of course, big day for football fans everywhere, especially those of the Seahawks and Patriots going at it in the Super Bowl 60. It was a full house down at the Peanut Farm in Anchorage today with a Seattle to New England fan ratio that sounded something like this. Yeah, that about sums it up. Seattle is in its first Super Bowl since 2015, which the Seahawks lost to the Patriots. So fans on both sides are excited about the opportunity to either settle the score or reassert their dominance, depending on, of course, what colors they wore.
I'm all excited. I'm glad the Hawks are back in the Super Bowl. I'm feeling confident. I feel like we got this.
I've been watching Seahawks every year, and I knew they were going to do it, so it's been good. It's been fun watching them.
I wasn't sure. But I knew we had a good team. And you know what? With the hard work they've been doing, they pushed it all the way, and now we're here.
It'll be great. It'll be slow starting, but I think we're going to win at the end, so it's going to be a good game.
I think we're going to win by at least 10.
I know everybody been doubting us all season. They've been saying we're not going to make it. You know, here we are, Super Bowl, baby.
And we'll hear more about those other sports in the news later in the show. He's an Alaskan going for a world record, and drumroll please, did he make it? We'll find out next. Well, in December, Eric Soule introduced us to an Anchorage jumper who was preparing to try and break a world record. Tim Saunders' record attempt took place in January. Now, Eric checks in to see how it went and what's next.
60 seconds. That's the window Tim Saunders had to set a world record.
The record is 1,200.
January 26th, on a stage at UAA. After years of practice, just 60 seconds.
Yeah, I was hoping for my best.
Speed drumming. It had to be flawless, so multiple attempts.
I'm sure I probably made at least 20.
Cameras rolling. He was going for the world record for the most drum beats. In a double-stroke roll. Here's what that looks like. 2 beats from each drumstick. Do you see it? 1, 2, 1, 2,
There's a lot of different things that are required. 1 cover letter, 2 independent witness statements, 2 timekeeper statements, video evidence, including slow motion video evidence.
just 60 seconds. And in the end,
1,415.
setting a new world record. But it has to be approved, which means sending in the required evidence.
I hope to do it by beginning of next week.
What happens next?
Then the hurry up and wait. Hopefully I don't have to look at any more slow motion videos for a while.
Tim's advice for anyone looking to break a world record.
Be prepared for a lot of work.
For Tim, it was 60 seconds to try and break the record. And now, about 12 weeks to learn if he actually did. Eric Soule, Alaska's news source.
Mathematically, 1,415 drum strokes in a minute comes out to just over 23.5 strokes per second.
And snow is already rolling into parts of South Central this evening, with a secondary storm bringing widespread and heavier impacts into the work week. Stay tuned for more coming up next.
You've been listening to the Alaska's News Source podcast. Subscribe to have the latest episodes delivered to your library automatically.